Hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Texte's another podcast. Today we have someone very special from Pakistan. He started, when it comes to entrepreneurship, he has a very unusual business journey because he started his entrepreneurial journey at the age of 49. He served he's an accomplished banker and he served at Citibank for 27 years and then after that he came back to Pakistan. We are going to ask him a lot of questions about his entrepreneurial journey, how he's spending his quarantine life, and what is Planet N because this is his most recent venture and what he is most focused on nowadays. So, by the way, Nadeem, can you please introduce yourself for the audience? By the way, you need no introduction. Everyone knows you across the ecosystem. But still, yeah.
Just a little bit of
Just a
background.
little bit of background.
I
I
graduated from
graduated
the college
from
from the
the
US,
college from the
Liberal Arts
US,
College,
Liberal Arts College,
and then I
and
started
then I
my
started
work
my
journey with
work
Citigroup.
journey with Citigroup.
I worked in
I
eight
worked in
different
8
countries,
different countries,
and
Wow.
then
and
after
then
27
after
years, I
27 years,
quit
I quit
and I came back
and
and
I came
started
back and
Tamir
started
Microfinance
Tamir
Bank.
Microfinance Bank.
About 3 years,
About
I
3 years,
sold the
I
bank
sold the bank
and I
and I
started Planet
started
10.
Planet 10.
And Planet 10
And
now
Planet
has
10 now has
18 companies.
18 companies.
Two companies
Two
we
Wow.
companies
invested
we
in last
invested
week.
in last week.
So you guys have more than 18 companies, like 18 companies on board with you. And during this quarantine time, you people invested in two of the companies. We're gonna ask them
Yeah,
because
we're going to be
Yeah,
most
we're
of the
going to
people
be
investing.
are.
investing.
We'll be investing
We'll
in
be
four
investing in
more.
four more.
So in the
Wow. So
last
it will
three
In the
months,
totally
last
by the
3
end of
months,
collectively
this
by the
month,
end of
become
this month,
22.
yeah, we would have
yeah, we would
invested
have
in six
invested
new
in six
companies.
new companies.
Wow, that's something which is really great for the entrepreneurial ecosystem. By the way, I was reading somewhere that you are also one of Pakistanis who is working on with foreign venture capitalists to bring them back to Pakistan. Is this true? That you're also working with a lot of venture capitalists across the globe?
I am in the
I
sense
am in the
that
sense that
we
we
four Planet
four
and
Planet
companies
and
have raised
companies
money
have
from
raised money
outside,
from outside,
and I'm helping
and I'm
those guys
helping
look
those
at
guys
companies
look at
outside
companies
Planet 10.
outside Planet 10.
Planet N has also
Planet N
raised
has
money,
also
so
raised money, so
because we have such a
because we
large
have such a large
ecosystem,
ecosystem,
and we also do a
and we
lot of
also do a
public
lot of
research which
public
we share
research
with the
which we
public.
share with the public.
For example,
For
right now
example,
I'm
right
working
now
with
I'm working with
7 volunteers and
volunteers and
creating a
creating
paper on
a
digital
paper on
Pakistan.
digital Pakistan.
So,
Wow.
because
So
we've done so
because
much
we've done
work,
so much
a
work,
lot of people
a
want to
lot of
talk
people
to
want to
us,
talk to us,
about what's happening in the
what's happening in
ecosystem.
the ecosystem.
So, whether it's
So whether it's
CDC or
CDC or
Kingsway,
Kingsway,
Sarmaya Car,
Sarmaya Car,
Silicon Valley
Silicon Valley
investors, now
investors, now
Asian, Chinese,
Asian,
Singapore
Chinese,
investors,
Singapore investors,
we always
we
trying to
always
showcase
trying to
Pakistan.
showcase Pakistan.
Wow, it's something which is really great. By the way, I'm going to ask a lot of questions about when it comes to investment point of view because startups have a lot of things to ask you, and we received a lot of questions for you. I'm going to ask them at the end. But
Sure.
before going for that, when you came back to Pakistan, you started your entrepreneurial journey at the age of 49. Normally, it's considered to be an unusual journey because you worked abroad and you served Citibank for 27 years, leaving that corporate
Yes.
job
Yes.
and coming back to Pakistan and starting this bank over here. How difficult it was, how difficult that decision was.
Well,
Well,
initially it was a
initially it
tough
was a tough
decision,
decision,
but once the
but
decision
once
was
the
made,
decision was made,
you can't have
you
regrets.
can't
You have
have
to move
regrets. You have
forward
to
and you
move
have to
forward and you have
execute.
to execute.
Actually, I
Actually,
was going
I was
through
going
my
through my
bucket list,
bucket
which I
list, which
created
I
in Hong
created in
Kong
Hong Kong
in
in
1994.
1994.
So I was a young
So I
person
was a
then,
young
and there are a lot
person
of
then, and there are a
material
lot of
things on
material
that.
things on that.
But there is
But
number
there is
seven
number
says,
7
I
says,
would like to
I
start a
would like to start
microfinance
a
bank in
microfinance
Pakistan
bank in Pakistan
in
Wow.
in
1994.
So
1994.
you always
So,
wanted to be an
that
entrepreneur.
That
looks like it, although I
looks like
waited
it,
27
although
years
I
to
waited
start that journey.
27 years to start that journey.
Wow. And by the way, there is one more thing that when it comes to this microfinance bank thing, as you just mentioned that you decided it in early in your life that you are going to start microfinance bank. How you came up with this idea? Like specifically, why you because you worked abroad, why you chose Pakistan for this microfinance thing?
Well,
Well,
I read
I read
uh,
uh,
the book on
the
Grameen,
book on Grameen,
and it
and
inspired
it
me at that
inspired
time. That
me
was
at
the
that time.
only
That was the
exposure
only
I had to
exposure I had to
microfinance.
microfinance.
I didn't know what
I didn't know what
microfinance was about.
microfinance was about.
So after
So
27
after
years, when I was
27
looking at
years,
my
when I was
life,
looking
and
at
I
my
said,
life, and I said,
God has been kind to
God
me,
has been kind to me,
but I'm a
but I'm a
Pakistani.
Pakistani.
My
My
identity is
identity is
Pakistani.
Pakistani.
What have I done for
What have I done for
Pakistan?
Pakistan?
So I started
Wow.
So I
looking at the
started
financial
looking at the
system in
financial system
Pakistan,
in Pakistan,
and
and
I had a
I
couple of offers
had
from
a couple
large
of offers
commercial
from
banks to
large
become a
commercial banks to
CEO,
become a CEO.
but it was more
But
of the
it was
same
more of
thing.
the same
And very
thing. And
honestly,
very honestly,
there's no better
there's no
corporate
better
culture than
corporate culture
Citigroup,
than Citigroup,
Citibank.
Citibank.
So the only thing
So
I
the
needed
only
to
thing I
do
needed
then
to do
was to
then
say,
was to say,
what can I
what can
do
I
in terms
do
of
in
creating
terms of
something in
creating something
Pakistan
in Pakistan,
which would be world
which would be
class,
world class,
which would be
which
different,
would be different,
as well as
uh,
which would
as
create
well as which would
a
create
substantial
a
valuation
substantial
and social
valuation
impact.
and
So
social impact. So they were
there were different
so there were different
angles to coming back to
angles to
Pakistan.
coming
One
back to
was
Pakistan. One
coming
was
back to your home
coming
country
back to
and
your home
creating
country
something,
and creating something,
and also creating
and
a world
also
class
creating a world
organization.
class organization.
Wow, this is something which is really great. And you became one of the most successful entrepreneurs across Pakistan. I have seen in plenty of newspapers that Nadeem is one of the most successful entrepreneurs. So by the way, there is one more thing which I want to ask. That when you were giving a resignation, what were your feelings at that point in time? And we came to know that you left your bonus behind. Even you didn't wait it for that. Is this true, first of all?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Einstein says there's
Einstein
nothing more
says there's
powerful
nothing more
than an
powerful than an
idea whose time has
idea whose
come.
time has come.
So
So
once the
once
germ
the
of
germ of
creating
creating
Tamir had been
Tamir had been
sowed,
sowed,
I couldn't
I
wait.
couldn't wait.
I couldn't wait.
I couldn't wait.
So
Wow.
So
I left.
I left.
I remember now.
Remember now,
For
I
27
for
years, I
27
was a
years
salaried
I was a
person.
salaried person.
I was coming back
I
to
was coming back to
Pakistan
Pakistan
in a business
in a
that I
business
didn't know
that
about,
I
which is
didn't know about, which
microfinance.
is microfinance.
Starting a business,
Starting
and
a
I was an
business, and I was an
entrepreneurial person.
entrepreneurial person,
And I'd only worked in
and I'd only
Pakistan
worked in
5
Pakistan
years of my
5 years
27
of my
years.
27 years.
Wow.
So there
So it must
were
be
So
a
there
many
very
risk
were
hard decision.
many
factors.
risk factors.
Um,
Uh,
but you make a
but
decision
you
like
make a
that, you have to
decision like
make
that,
sure
you
your
have to make
family is on the
sure your
same
family is
page.
on the same page.
So I had to
So
make sure
I
that
had to
my
make sure
wife,
that my wife,
basically said
said
that she was
that
in sync. She
she
could have
wasn't
said
sick. She
no
could have said no
because we were leaving a
because we were
large
leaving a
salary
large
job
salary job
and coming. But she
and
said, "This is
coming.
what you want to
But she
do.
said, "This is what you want to
You
do.
go ahead and do it."
You
So
go ahead
without
and
the
do it." So
support, I
without the
couldn't have
support,
started the
I
bank.
couldn't have started the bank.
So wow, it's really great that your family was also very supportive when it comes to starting your own journey. So by the way, how hard it was in terms of, because I came to know that you invested like close to $6 million, if I'm not wrong, in your bank initially when it started, because you
Yeah.
injected such a heavy amount in your
Yeah,
bank. How risky this decision was? Yeah.
it was a high
it
risk
was a
play,
high risk play,
but the view
but the
was
view was
that if I
that
was going
if
to
I was
create
going to
something, I
create
wanted
something, I
majority
wanted
ownership to
majority
start it,
ownership to start it,
to influence
to
the direction.
influence the direction.
So
So
all these 7 years,
these seven
Citigroup,
years,
I
Citigroup,
sold all the
I sold all
shares,
the
all the
shares, all
option,
the option,
gratuity, provident
gratuity,
fund,
provident fund,
and I
and
also
I
borrowed
also
money
borrowed money
against my personal
against my personal
guarantee,
guarantee,
and therefore we
and
had
therefore we had
60% of the bank.
60% of the bank.
10%
Wow.
IFC
10%
came in for,
IFC came in for,
and 30%
and
were two local
30% were two
investors.
local investors.
Wow. So, by the way, you burnt all the boats and you came back to Pakistan to start this venture. I think this is your story is one of the most inspirational stories when it comes to Pakistani's entrepreneurial ecosystem. Yeah. So, by the way, there is
Well,
one more thing
there's
that
a
then after
verse
that you
by
sold.
A
Iqbal.
verse by Iqbal.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, Osama.
Sorry to interrupt
It
you, Sama.
says,
It says,
"बेखतर कूद पड़ा
बेखतर
आशिक़
कूद पड़ा
नमरूद में
आशिक़
इश्क,
नमरूद में इश्क,
अक्ल है मेवे
अकल है
तमाशाए
मेवे
लबे
तमाशाए लबे
बाम भी." Roughly
बाम
translated,
अभी.
it
Roughly
says,
translated, it says,
some decisions are
some
made by
decisions are
faith
made
and in
by
the
faith
heart,
and in the heart,
not by the
not
mind.
by the mind.
Okay, so you could,
So you,
so it was the passion. I'm
so
not
you,
saying this thing could have got horribly wrong, but it didn't.
so by the way, what you suggest to young entrepreneurs when it comes to young entrepreneurial community of Pakistan, that what are that factors which entrepreneurs need to have, and when they people are making some kind of decision, like if they have dreams and they want to turn them into reality, which things they need to care about while starting their entrepreneurial journey?
Most startups fail because they're over ambitious about their sales, and as a consequence, up the cost and the cash runs out. So people need to firstly get a better sense of what their cash burn is going to be and the components of the cash burn. And don't expect that your first entrepreneurship journey is going to be successful. 7 to 8 out of startups fail first time around. It doesn't mean the entrepreneur has failed, it means that idea has failed. So you can
Wow,
start
it's
again.
such a nice
Planet N is
explanation of
invested in
failure.
close to,
Yeah. It's a very
we've
different
invested in
explanation of
close to
failure. Yeah.
30
Yeah,
companies,
Sam.
14 companies have failed. Thank you. Thank you.
14 companies have failed, even when it comes to the current work you are doing, is something which is high risk, high reward. We're going to talk about that planet and things because that's another huge success when it comes to Pakistan. So, by the way, before going for that, then you sold Tamir Bank to a Telenor group. Is this true? And how that thing happened? Like, when it comes to your startup's exit, it was always in your back in your head, or it happened suddenly?
No, I created the bank from day one that at some stage I would sell it, I would exit. I would create an institutional team, and that team would be able to run the bank, and I would do something else. So that was the
Wow.
plan from day one. And even in Planet N, the plan is that I'm creating companies. I'm 64 years old, but I'm creating companies. That's what I enjoy doing. But I'm not wedded to a particular company or plan, or even the holdco. If I have associations, it's with the people, not with companies.
Wow. So you are not associated with the companies, you are more into people. You believe more into people. And that's one thing you also look into
Yeah.
startups while investing,
So a
that
lot
what
of the
kind of
lot
team
of
they have.
so my formula, when I typically make a decision in the first 5 minutes when I'm going to invest in a company or not.
Wow.
So the
And how you
first thing
decide
I
that in the first 5 minutes?
assume that I say 70%, let's say, is weightage on the jockey, assuming we're talking about, you know, I'll tell you this analogy. So
Yeah.
70% is who the team is or the individual is. I'm betting on them. So that's the biggest weightage. 20% is on the horse, which means what's the idea?
Wow. So it
10%
means you
is on the
invest on the
turf.
jockey, not the horse.
I invest in all three: the jockey, the horse, and the turf. So the person has to be
Wow.
right, the idea has to be right, and the idea has to be right for the country and the time.
So it means you also look into the social impact of that startup, that what it's going to create, what kind of social and economic impact that startup is going to have.
Not all of them necessarily create social impact, but they must have the ability to scale.
So by the way, when it comes to economic impact, there is a like even at some point in time, startups do debate with each other. I want to ask you this question: that why talking about money when startups are pitching and they're talking about money? Why talking about money is taboo in Pakistan? Why people don't want to listen about money? They only want to listen about social impact. What's your take on
No,
that?
no, that's
No, no, that's
Osama. That's
Osama.
incorrect
That's
in the
incorrect
sense
in
that
the sense that
people, not
not
everybody is
everybody
looking
is
to have
looking to have
social impact.
social impact.
So you can
So
create
you can create
companies which are
companies
going to be
which are
create
going to be
wealth.
create wealth.
They don't necessarily
They
have
don't
to
necessarily
create
have to create
employment or have a
employment
social
or have a social
impact or
impact
reduce
or
poverty.
reduce poverty.
If they do, it's a
If they
double
do,
bottom
it's a
line,
double
so
bottom
it
line,
becomes
so
better.
it becomes
Some
better.
VCs
Some
want
VCs want
social impact.
social impact.
Some VCs don't
Some
care. They
VCs
just
don't
want to
care.
see
They
if
just
you can
want to see if
scale
you can scale
and the company
and
can get a
the
good
company can get a
valuation.
good valuation.
So that's the thing. So people look into all of these aspects as you just mentioned. So by the way, when it comes to you're also the founder of Planet and group of companies, how that all started and what was the inspiration behind starting all that?
So when I
So when I
exited Tamir
exited
Bank,
Tamir
the
Bank,
view
the
was
view
that
was that
I had done
I
13
had
years there and
done
I had
13
created
years
a
there and I
team,
had created a team
and the team would
and the team would
take and do well.
take and do well.
Telenor had been my
Telenor had been
partner
my
for
partner for
10 of the 13
10
years
of the
of Tamir
13
Bank.
years of Tamir
So
Bank. So
theoretically, they would know how
theoretically,
to
they
run the
would know
bank.
how to run the bank.
And I wanted to
And I
do
wanted to
stuff
do
which would have
stuff
more
which would have
scale
more scale
and create
and
more
create more
entrepreneurs.
entrepreneurs.
And
And
I had more
I
capital
had
than
more
before
capital
to
than
deploy.
before to deploy.
So I created a
So I
holding
created a
company called
holding
Planet
company
N,
called Planet N,
and I
and
started
I started
investing initially
investing
in
initially in
disruptive technologies.
disruptive technologies.
Wow.
So whether it's
So whether it's
entertainment
entertainment
or health
or health
or
or
fintech,
fintech,
edtech.
edtech.
So now,
So
post
now,
COVID, we've got
post
four
COVID, we've
sectors.
got four
Pre COVID,
sectors.
we were
Pre
in
COVID, we were in
largely in fintech,
largely in fintech,
in tech,
in tech,
health tech,
health
and
tech,
in
and
entertainment.
entertainment.
Uh, EdTech, health tech, and entertainment. You added three more sectors into that when it comes to investing.
We added
We added
edtech,
tech,
big data,
big
AI.
data, AI.
We're looking
Okay.
at
We're looking at
e-agriculture, and
e-agriculture,
we're looking
and
at
we're looking at
digital market and
digital
digital
market
cost
and digital
acquisition.
cost acquisition.
So, by the way, when it comes to this, like the world is talking about COVID nowadays, and everyone is in quarantine. But now, even there is a ease in lockdown in a lot of countries, even in Europe, US, and even in Pakistan. So, when it comes to the future of technology companies, how you look at that future of technology companies? But people should be more focused on. But you advise them.
I think
I think
right now
right
with
now
this
with this
customer behavior
customer behavior
changing,
changing,
I mean, my own
my
behavior
own
has
behavior has
changed
changed
totally in
totally
COVID versus
in COVID
pre-COVID, and we
versus
can talk
pre-COVID.
about
And we
that
can
if you
talk about
want.
that
But
if you want. But
Yeah, I really
companies
want
which
to
are
talk about the new
providing
normal.
remote
Yeah.
providing remote
solutions,
solutions.
but
But
remote solutions
remote
can be
solutions can be
e-health,
e-health,
e-education,
e-education,
e-entertainment,
e-entertainment,
e-information.
e-information.
All those
All
companies are
those
going to
companies are
prosper
going
and
to
do
prosper
well.
and do well.
You have to
Have to
focus on the
focus on the
customer,
customer,
what
what
problem you're
problem you're
solving,
solving,
and what's the
and what's
customer
the
journey.
customer journey.
If you do that,
If
you
you
get
do
scale
that,
and the
you get
money then
scale and the
happens
money then happens
by itself if
by
you've got
itself
your
if you've got
unit
your
economics
unit
correct.
economics correct.
So if you have the correct unit economics, you are gonna boom, like when it comes to post-COVID.
Well,
Well,
in these
in
segments
these
or any other
segments or
segment,
any other segment,
your customer
your
cost of
customer cost of
acquisition and lifetime
acquisition and
revenue of a
lifetime
customer
revenue of
equation
customer
has to be right.
equation has to be right.
Otherwise,
Otherwise,
like e-commerce
like
companies, you'll
e-commerce
be
companies, you'll
increasing
be
bottom
increasing
top
bottom
line,
top line,
and your bottom
and
line
your
is going to
bottom
get
line is going to
totally
get
wasted. Now,
totally wasted now.
if you speak to
If you
Yeah.
VCs
speak to
now,
VCs
especially
now,
after the
especially
SoftBank
after the
debacle,
SoftBank debacle,
VCs are now
VCs
more
are now
focused on
more
looking
focused
at
on looking at
the
the
bottom line as well
bottom
than
line
just
as
the
well
top
than
line.
just the top
So
line.
those days
So
of where
those
you could
days
just
of where
have
you could
high
just have
sales
high
and
sales
worry
and
about not worry about the
not
bottom
worry
line
about
have
the
gone.
bottom line have gone.
So it means at then people need to work on more sustainable models when it comes to business models.
I think the
I think the
tolerance for just
tolerance
having a
for
top
just
line
having a
and no
top
bottom
line and
line
no bottom line
and no clear
and
plan
no
to the
clear
path of
plan to the path
profitability
of profitability
is not going to work
is not
anymore,
going to
or
work anymore,
or
or
very
or
slim,
very
be very
slim,
slim in
be
terms
very
of
slim in terms
raising
of
Post
capital.
COVID,
raising capital.
even that perspective has been changed. I think, by the way, when it comes to
Yes.
COVID, the world is talking about COVID nowadays. How you're spending your quarantine days, and can you please mention a little bit about positive and negative impact of COVID on your life?
I mean, I
I
hate to
mean, I
say this,
hate to
but
say
COVID
this,
is the
but
best
COVID is
thing
the best thing
that
that
happened to me.
happened to me.
I'm
You know,
sad about
I'm
the
sad about the
deaths and the
deaths
economic
and the
loss and
economic
everything else.
loss
But
and
me
everything else. But
personally,
me
Yeah.
personally,
I'm not
I'm
planning to
not
go back
planning
to
to
the
go back to
office.
the office.
I start my
Wow.
I
day
start my
4:30
day
in the morning
4:30
with
in the
prayer.
morning with prayer.
5 a.m. I
5
take my
a.m. I
dogs
take
out
my
for
dogs
an
out
hour.
for an
I have
hour.
four
I
dogs
have four
for a
dogs
1 hour
for a
walk.
1 hour walk.
Wow.
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
I
I
personally clean the
personally
street
clean
in
the
front of my
street in
house
front
for
of my
45
house for
minutes
45 minutes
Wow.
with gloves,
with
mask,
gloves,
and
mask,
a
and
okay. So you
okay.
have to look
So
after
you
your
have
own
to look after
environment.
your own environment.
Then I spend
Then I spend
another hour in the
another
gym.
hour
So
in the
my
gym. So
gym,
my
I do
gym,
about
I do about
20 to
20 to
25,000 steps a day.
25,000 steps a day.
Then I've got
Then
break
I've got
time.
break time.
At 9:30, I
At
have
9:30, I have
Sindhi class.
Sindhi
I'm
class.
learning the Sindhi
I'm
language,
learning the
which I didn't
Sindhi
do before
language, which I
COVID.
didn't do before COVID.
10 o'clock, I have
10
Mandarin
o'clock, I have
class.
Mandarin
Now my
class. Now my
Mandarin has become,
Mandarin has become,
getting better by the day.
getting better by the
I'm
day.
reading
I'm
characters, I
reading
write
characters,
characters,
I
then I
write characters, and I
converse in Mandarin.
converse in Mandarin.
Then
Wow.
Then
10 to 1,
10 to
I
1,
do
I do
Zoom
Zoom
video meetings.
video meetings.
In a day, I'm
In
doing
a day, I'm doing
8 to 10
8
meetings.
to
I
10
don't do
meetings.
any
I
meeting
don't do
beyond
any
20
meeting
minutes.
beyond 20 minutes.
All the companies that
All
I
the
have, I
companies that
talk
I
to
have,
them
I
once a
talk to
week.
them once a week.
And the entire
And the
planet team
entire
talks to each
planet team
other
talks to each
once
other
every 2 weeks.
once every 2 weeks.
1 to 3 is
1 to
my
3 is
personal
my
time break.
personal time break.
Then I work
Then
again
I
from
work
3 to
again from
6.
3 to 6.
And most of the time,
And
I'm
most
doing
of
my
the time,
meetings
I'm
on the
doing my
treadmill.
meetings on the treadmill.
So I
Wow.
hit the
So
video and
I
I'm just
hit the
talking, and
video and
I'm
I'm just
that's
talking,
why I
and
hit
that's why
20
I hit
25
2025
steps in a
steps
day.
in a day.
And I have now
And I
started
have now
cooking. I
started
cook
cooking. I cook
Chinese cuisine
Chinese cuisine
and Western
and
cuisine,
Western cuisine,
and I cook
So you
and I
started
cook
cooking during
close
quarantine
to
days, and
close
five
prior
to
to
out of
that, you were
7
5
days.
not
out of
cooking.
7 days.
Yep,
Cook,
yep,
yep,
yep, yep, yep.
yep.
So
Wow.
so also when I'm
Also,
walking,
when
I'm
I'm
listening to
walking, I'm listening
audiobooks.
to
So I mean,
audiobooks. So, I
I've
mean,
just figured out
I've
I've
just
become
figured out
so
I've
much
become
more
so
efficient
much
during
more
COVID.
efficient during COVID.
And
So
stuff
it
I
means
wanted
when
to
it
Stuff
do
comes
I
when I
wanted
was
to do
quote
when I was
unquote.
quote unquote.
so it means when it comes
Go
to
ahead, Sam.
COVID,
Go ahead,
it
Sam.
has a lot more positive impact on your life.
I mean, I put
I
a
mean, I
post
put
out on
a post
LinkedIn,
out on LinkedIn,
how has COVID
how has
changed you?
COVID changed you?
So
So,
when you look at COVID,
when
you
you
say,
look at COVID,
your
you say,
life can go
your
away like
life
that.
can go away like
Your
that.
friends are
Your
dying.
friends are
People
dying.
association are
People
dying.
association are dying.
So you
So,
need to
you
focus. So
need to
you need to
focus.
get
So,
your
you need to get
spiritual
your
part
spiritual
worked out.
part worked out.
Okay, whichever it is,
Okay,
whether it's
whichever it is, whether
prayer,
it's
I pray
prayer,
5 times
I
a
pray
day, which I
5 times
never
a
did.
day, which
But
I
this is
never did.
before
This
COVID.
is before COVID.
I meditate,
I
so you get your
meditate, so you get your
spiritual charge
spiritual
fixed.
chart fixed.
Then you fix your
Then you fix
emotional
your
side. You're now
emotional side.
spending
You're
time
now
with your
spending
family.
time with your
I've been
family.
married for 21
I've been
years.
married for
You
21
lose
years.
touch sometimes.
You
You're in
lose
your own
touch
job, you're
sometimes. You're in
physical
your own
dump.
job. You're physical
So
dump.
whether you're
So
married or
whether
you have
you're married
siblings
or
or
you have
your parents,
siblings or your parents,
center your emotional
center
back.
your
Just for you.
emotional back. Just for you.
Then
Then
you have time to get
you have
physically
time to get
fit.
physically fit.
You don't have to have a gym at
You don't have
home.
to have a
You can
gym
do
at
at least, I
home.
do
You
3 hours
can
of
do it. I do 3 hours
workout
of
a month, a
workout
day.
a month, or day.
It's just I'm doing my
Wow.
meetings
It's
on
just
the
I'm doing my
treadmill.
meetings
So
on the
you can
treadmill,
multitask.
so you can multitask.
And then
And
lastly,
then lastly,
use your brain. I
use
mean,
your
learn a
brain. I mean,
language,
learn a
learn how to
language,
cook,
learn how to
do
cook,
courses. It's
do
all remote.
courses. It's all
So
remote.
this is the
So
COVID
this is
world
the
that
COVID
you
world
can
that
benefit
you can
from. And
benefit
we're
from.
opening, as I
And
said,
we're opening, as I said,
6 new companies
6 new
because
companies
we've done
because
research and we
we've
see
done research
potential
and
in
we
that.
see potential in that.
So,
So
So,
by the
other
way,
than,
when it
other
comes to
than,
your story, when I just heard your quarantine story, and it's so impressive. impressive. that first of all you accepted COVID as a reality, and you change your lifestyle accordingly. You're not feeling depressed, you're not complaining, you are not in depression, but you fitted yourself into the new world. You are ready for the new world. By the way, when it comes to youngsters, when it comes to a lot of startups, because their existing business models are not generating them money anymore, I'm in contact with a lot of startups, and they think like then when COVID will be over, they are going to start over again. So what you suggest to those kind of people, how they can stay positive during this time of crisis? Because this pandemic is not going anywhere anytime soon. It's going to take a lot of time. We need to adopt according to it, and we first of all we have to accept it
So
as a
there's
reality.
a share, there's a verse of Faiz which says, "Himmat karo jeene ke liye to ek umr padi hai." So this will pass. Take your business and you have four decisions. Either you're in a business that's growing, which is like e-entertainment, e-health, e-education, try and find more money and grow this business. Or your business needs to pivot. So Taste Financial Services, which was our neobank, was doing consumption lending. Now we are focusing more on insurance and on saving. So you have the infrastructure, but pivot to what is required, same company. Third thing, you are a single trick pony and you have no other option, put your business on ice. That means actually you'll have to let people go, but your concept is there and you have to bite it out because your cash flow is such that you can't sustain your full workforce. Fourth, shut your business down, bide your time, figure out alternative ways of making money. There's a freelancing world, there's a consulting world. Do anything you want. Okay. So based on that, you gotta take action. You can't get depressed, sit in the house, कि मैं बाहर नहीं जा सकता. You know, लोग change yourself, deal with it, and I'm not saying it's easy, okay? But you'll find parts of you that you've lost touch with, or the relationships you had, with your wife, your siblings, your children, which had become very remote because we were living in different worlds and we physically apart. So this time you can actually use to reset yourself spiritually, emotionally, physically, and intellectually. It's all there. It's up to you to decide what you're going to do.
So, by the way, what you just mentioned, that it's okay to quit your company which is not generating you money anymore and start something new. Because whenever there is a crisis, there are a lot of other problems, and we can see a lot of other problems right now, and we can start something new, something different. Like I want to give my example that what I did, because we work in a travel and tourism industry, and right now no one is traveling. During my third day of quarantine, I started a company which is a delivery service. Initially, we started from Ahmedabad, which is my city, and because prior to that, there was no delivery service in Ahmedabad, and we had the first mover advantage, and it was the right time. It took off. We didn't have to spend much on marketing, and then within a month we launched it, and we replicated the same company in Islamabad, and now it's in three different cities across Pakistan, and it's doing really great. So yeah, and there is one another company I started. I started two different companies during this quarantine time, and they both are doing really well in terms of generating revenues. So you can pivot. So by the way, I want to ask you one more thing, that can you please tell us what you are most focused on nowadays and what you are most proud of in your life? Because you did so many things. What you are most proud of?
I'm proud of the fact that I created a team of people in in Citibank, for example, who are all CEOs right now in their own companies. And in Planet 10, I created a team of people who have the confidence, who were working for a salary, and now have companies worth millions. My biggest accomplishment, I believe, is that the investment I made in people and how they've prospered.
Wow. So you take when you helped other people. That's what you are most proud of.
When I
By the
create
way, one last thing.
entrepreneurs,
Yeah, you created a
or
lot
you
of
know,
entrepreneurs even.
or you know, or
that I think is my
that I
biggest
think is my
achievement in life.
biggest achievement in life.
So one
Not
last
what
thing, last advice for
Not
the
what
audience. What is your last advice for the audience? Either it's related to COVID or not, yeah. What you want to advise to youngsters who are just stepping out from institutes or who just graduated, or last advice for anyone? Yeah, all the audience members.
my view is that
my view is that
life gives you an opportunity.
life gives you an opportunity.
Take chances in life. Be
Take
prepared that your
chances
first
in
chance
life.
will not succeed,
Be
may not
prepared that your
succeed.
first chance will not
Bounce
succeed,
back.
or may not succeed.
The
Bounce
reason
back.
we have failure largely
The reason we have
is
failure
because of
largely is
egos.
because of
I'm trying to find my
egos.
book if I can find it over here.
I'm trying to find my book if I
Ego,
can find over here.
I would
Ego,
suggest
I would
everybody read this
suggest
book.
everybody read this book.
Okay.
Okay.
Ego is the
This was
enemy.
one of the,
This was
yeah,
one of the,
this is
yeah, this
Ego
is,
is the Enemy by Ryan
Ego is the
Holiday.
Enemy by Ryan Holiday.
Our ego gets into
Our
our way.
ego gets into our
We
way.
get into a cult of
We get
self.
into a
We
cult of
start
self.
thinking about
We
ourselves. A little bit
start
of
thinking
success
about ourselves. A
goes to
little bit
ahead.
of success goes to
And
ahead.
then we feel that
And
we're not
then
being
we feel
recognized.
that we're not being
The world is
recognized.
giving us a bad
The
hand.
world is giving us a bad
Read
hand.
this book. Even
Read
with
this book.
myself, which I
Even
consider
myself, which
myself a
I consider myself
relatively
a
humble people.
relatively
There are
humble
many things
people.
over here which
There are
trap which
many
I
things over
fall,
here
fall
which
for.
trap which I fought for.
I mean, the reason I'm cleaning the
I mean, the
streets
reason I'm cleaning the
is
streets
not just because I want to
is
create a
not
clean
just because I
environment,
want
because
to
I
create a
want to
clean environment,
humble
because I want
myself.
to humble myself.
Because ego goes to your
Because
brain and it
ego goes
affects
to
your
your brain
personal
and it affects your
relationships,
personal
affects your
relationships,
business
affects
relationships.
your business relationships.
So people who can
So
deal and sort
people
out the
who can
ego
deal and sort out the
will be
ego
successful.
will be successful.
So last message is ego is the biggest enemy, and he also suggested one book, like ego is the enemy, and you can read this book. And thank you so much, Nadeem, for sparing out time from your busy schedule for this podcast. I literally enjoyed. There are a lot of questions left, but it's a 30 minutes podcast, and we really enjoyed, like specifically when it comes to your story, the way you are spending your quarantine life. We learned a lot, specifically when it comes to how to be humble. You start your day, like it sounds like you start your day with a gratitude. So all of the entrepreneurial, like it's you are a great example for all the entrepreneurs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sama. Take
Thank
care.
you
All
so
the
much. Take care. All the
best.
best.
Take care. Goodbye. Goodbye.